Who needs pants to do video? To be, or not to be, in therapy. No, I'm not talking about retail therapy. That can be therapeutic. I'm talking about speaking to someone about your feelings, your emotions, your anger, etc., etc. I've been in and out of therapy. Psychiatrist, psychologist, behavioral therapist / social worker for almost 20 years. Initially, I went to therapy because I was dealing with depression that was brought on by panic and anxiety attacks. Oh man, those are debilitating. I dealt with those for a bunch of years till I found out what the heck they were. It was just like, I could hardly stay in class in high school. I used to sing in a choir when I was around 13-ish, and we would have a performance and I would feel like I would just want to lose control and fall off the riser. So this went on for years. Really screwed up my adolescence until I saw those commercials for dealing with anxiety and what have you. And it's like, oh, that's me. Then that led to my first foray in meds, relaxation techniques. Went with that for a while, and then, moved away, and then life happens, long-term relationships end, and you end up kind of distraught, etc., etc. All of that leading up to a few months back, me ending up in the psychiatric ward voluntarily. Wasn't taken by force, no drugs, this or that. But when you're dealing with a disability, you haven't been outside the house in a number of weeks due to bad winter weather, and you're unemployed and all that kind of stuff, you're gonna go a little even though I do a lot of things right, sometimes you need a break, you need some help, and I was ready to go back on some medication if necessary, and I was feeling that was necessary, and going into the hospital would kind of speed things up. So that was the first time I had been on medication. I stopped a month or so ago, in about 15 years. First time in about 15 years or so, because I'm anti-medication unless it's really necessary. There's a lot of medication that people take that they don't need to be taking because they're lazy or they just don't know any better, don't educate themselves, but I digress. So once I got out, I was seeing the outpatient social worker, and also started seeing my old behavioral therapist that I was seeing years before. Hadn't seen him in a year, but for a few years consistently saw this person, took him up on the offer of his support, because didn't have health insurance a year before, and wasn't working, so I couldn't pay him. So he's like, look, I want to help you, just pay me when you can. So I'm like, hey, figured, you know what, let me just suck this up and not go to therapy. And then it went where it went to, and I was seeing two. But I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this therapy thing, because it just is like a lot of time whining. It's talking and whining. acknowledge this. And no solutions, really. A good therapist should be able to offer some insight, solutions. Perhaps I need a new therapist, a better therapist. You kind of get a little handcuffed. You get kind of comfortable or used to someone and you're not sure who you're going to go to, if they're going to work, and you get trapped like in any kind of relationship. But before I went into the hospital, I sought out a bunch of therapists, hoping that I could find a really good one, and they were going to call me back, and I would go into different appointments and see which one was best for me. Perhaps I need to go back to that and try to do that again if my insurance allows it. Because if you don't have money, therapists can't do that for you. If you don't have enough good quality friends, relationships, they can't do that for you. They can suggest or kind of guide you, listen to things, but if you go to a life coach, which can cost some money or quite a lot of money, they can help more with that stuff. But I can't afford that. More solutions. Doing instead of talking and whining. Because there are things I deal with that I can and I can't control. So, if you've never been in therapy, perhaps you should. You should really give it a due try. For a while, you may find it to be beneficial. You won't know until you go. And then you may find out that, hey, it's helped and I'm moving along. Or you might want to stay with it for quite a long time. You gotta see what can be to potentially make you better. This better is vastly underrated.